Back on CBS Sports HQ, where the UConn Huskies look to do something we haven't seen since the 60s. The quest for the three-peat begins, but maybe those Huskies not running in line. Sleep is, in fact, for the eliminated. We run it back on Friday with another full slate. We'll look at some notables, including the first four Tar Heels and Tim Doyle's Ole Miss's Rebs. Rounding out the action will be those two-time defending champions in UConn. TD, Coach, this is a UConn team that doesn't impress us the way the last couple of years have. Yet and still, Coach Hurley, come tourney time. Coach, I'll come to you first here. What has defined the Huskies in your eyes this year, and what do you expect from them effort-wise?
Well, the Huskies started off bad this year with that tournament in Hawaii. Hawaii, you know, I like the vacation in Hawaii, Timmy. You know, I don't have the same beach body that I had in the past when I had 5% body fat. But don't say anything.
5 on it.
But they got off to a slow start. And it led to a lot of inconsistency this year. We didn't see the same chemistry on the floor. You know, they've really had a deep playbook. That's one of the reasons why the Lakers wanted Coach Hurley, because, you know, his arsenal with his playbook, and they could go to playing A, B, C, and D. We really didn't see the crisp passing this year, the spacing on the floor. This team is just totally different. But at the same time, it's a team that must be respected.
And Tim, Coach on the mic oftentimes in years past was to take the pressure off of his team. A lot of what we heard from Coach Hurley this year almost seemed to amplify that pressure at times. How do they respond to the pressure of the tournament?
Well, they played a team like Creighton that looked amazing today on their home floor. They were down in that game, and they came back and won that game because they have a top 10 pick in Liam McNeely. And is the pressure heightened that they're a national championship contender? No. I think we're all realistic here. I just know this. You don't want to see them. Like, if you're Oklahoma, you're like, oh, really? We got UConn here? So I am going to be picking UConn in this spot. Just in past history, check out what UConn has done the last 2 years in the tournament. Not only have they won it, I mean, they have embarrassed their opponents. I mean, last year, everybody, double digits, double digits, double digits. So you still have, you know, Caravan is still there. There's still a culture there. They have the mental edge. They took St. John's down to the wire. I thought the Big East was down this year, but I think Creighton and St. John's are legit teams. And I think UConn, if they're not in that conversation, oh, man, they are really close.
UConn they have enough, obviously, to get past this first-round matchup, but they don't have a Stephon Castle, all right? He's playing with Go Spurs Go right now. And when you have that physical ball handler that can break the defense down, especially at what we call butter, 7 seconds or less on the shot clock, you need somebody to get you a bucket. I don't know if they have that creativity.
Wait, why do you call it butter?
It's butter time. You got to put the butter on the bread, baby.
Do something smooth.
Do something smooth.
Coach,
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe.
You call it butter time, huh?
Butter time.
You know what I'd be calling?
What?
Tim Duncan. I go, hey, Tim, where's Tim? Tim, where are you?
The UConn Huskies will have to get past Porter Moser, and the Oklahoma Sooners, and Sister Jean is not walking through that door. I mean, the last time they made the run, Sister Jean was that was Loyola. That was Porter Moser's Loyola.
It's a mean comment. She's not walking too much at all. I think that's pretty mean.
We will move forward to University of North Carolina. Perhaps some mean things said about them as well. Doesn't matter once you've got the job what the resume says. They got the job. They showed you in the first four what they're capable of. Some of their sharpest hoop of the season against San Diego State. TD, you're quick to point out that this is an Ole Miss team that they will face that is not without their flaws. Let's take a listen.
I think Ole Miss is a fraud. Now, we were debating if San Diego State or North Carolina were going to get in. They both get in. Whoever wins that game is beating Ole Miss. Ole Miss gets a lot of love because they played in a great conference, Joe. They had a lot of opportunities and stuff. Eyeball test with Ole Miss. That is a fraud at number 6, and I'm targeting them.
All right, so eyeball test told us that on Selection Sunday, and Tim Doyle's Twitter has been hot since. TD, Talk to me more specifically about what are those pressure points, those vacancies that Ole Miss has that maybe can be pressured in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, not a fraud to make the tournament. Did they deserve to make the tournament? Absolutely. I was calling them a fraud. First of all, I was on for 6 hours that night, okay? And so loose lips sink ships. I meant to say that they were a fraud to make a splash. To me, a splash for them would be winning 2 games.
Gotcha.
Coach, they were 10-8 in the SEC, but they were 8-10 in quad 1 games. Let's go a little bit further and dig. I just happened to watch them, and I saw them struggle. Life and death against LSU, they were down 10. I saw them struggle to beat South Carolina. They went a majority of the season with no wins. I saw them struggle to beat Texas. They beat Colorado State and BYU, but that was in November.
And they beat Alabama on the road.
I know. Alabama scored 64 points in that game, Coach. That's by far their lowest point total the entire year. Like, you and I are horse racing guys. Once in a while, a horse throws in a clunker. I thought Alabama threw in a clunker. So I've just watched them, and I'm like, Chris Beard's a great coach. And I'm just like, they're just okay. And now they're going to run. If North Carolina makes 14 of 24 from 3, which they did against it,
yeah,
this is going to be over. Their favorite hockey player is going to be Fraud Lemieux. Their favorite action star, Jean-Fraud Van Damme.
Well done.
Yeah, so, yeah, not a fraud to make the tournament. I'm sorry to everybody out there in Mississippi. Just a fraud to make a run.
With North Carolina, the key during this time of the season, can you put together consistent performances?
They can't.
You played against a young San Diego State team. Brian Dutcher's team from San Diego, that's a totally different team that made it to the Final Four 2 years ago. I didn't recognize that San Diego State team. But North Carolina, it was us against the world. Now things have calmed down. We don't have to make comments about whether they should have made it to the tournament. They're in the tournament. So let's see if they can multiply that type of a performance in this next game.
Let good lead to great. Tim Doyle, who wins the game?
Ha! North Carolina, baby.
Very nice.
North Carolina. You don't think so?
Ole Miss, baby. I got Ole Miss.
I needed an official statement from Tim Doyle for the Twitter space, or for X, excuse me. Thursday also did give us a bit of a darling in McNeese. We have opportunity once again for upset. Tim, when you look at our potential matchups that we have coming on Friday, who's a team that's maybe on upset alert?
I'm going to go to Marquette. They have a tough matchup against New Mexico. I know a lot of fans of college basketball have a hard time staying up to watch New Mexico. They have a fantastic point guard in Donovan Dent, who can get to the hole. He can create and get you over 20 a game. They also have Nelly Jr. Joseph down low. This is a Marquette team that at one time, Coach, was ranked inside the top 10. Got to number 8 in the country, and then it was like, remember the Great American Scream Machine? Like, oh, like they just went crashing on down, and it's been kind of a nightmare since that point. I like New Mexico in this game.
I agree with you. New Mexico ×2. 16.5 fast break points a game. They turn you over at about 15 turnovers a game. Nelly Jr. Joseph and Donovan Dent, one of the best 1-2 punches in terms of an inside-outside game. If you look at Donovan Dent, he attempted 219 free throws this year. That's top 25 in the country. So when he could put pressure on your defense to get Richard Pitino's team into the bonus early so that they can dominate the game from the free throw line, I like New Mexico in this spot.
It would be very much in line with Marquette performances in past. You get to the tourney and maybe you just don't have your best stuff. That's one on upset alert according to our guys. Fellas, we're ready for Friday. Thank you. And the madness is here. Don't miss a moment of all the action on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. Be sure to download the March Madness app as well. Watch every game, anywhere, anytime, live.